Hi, Dan. Hi, everybody.
Okay, there we go. Okay, there we are. So we'll call the subcommittee to order. Terry, if you would call the roll. You're muted, Terry. You're still muted.
Getting warmer.
Terry?
Okay.
There we
Here I am.
go.
Mr. Collins,
Here.
Attorney Murphy,
Present.
and Ms. Naylor.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, this is a subcommittee meeting for public input. And I see Joy is there, and Joy has signed up to speak. So Joy, when you unmute yourself, just give your name and your address, please, and go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. My name is Joy Ross and my address is 52 Colfax Street in Springfield. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. So good evening, school committee members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. As I said, my name is Joy Ross and I am a school counselor at Talmadge Elementary School. And I would like to speak today in support of two important programs within Springfield Public Schools. The first is the home visit program, which provides an opportunity for educators to visit their students and parents in their homes. These visits allow for educators to make vital connections with families outside of school. You should see how students light up and come into school after a home visit from their teacher, so excited to tell everyone that my teacher came to my house yesterday. It's a connection that lasts for years beyond the initial home visit. It's important that this program remain intact, especially as our community begins to recover from the isolation that COVID caused. The other item I wanted to speak about is our district DIRE committee, which is the committee established to tackle the district-wide issues around diversity, inclusion, and racial equity. We have worked hard to make inroads in 4 areas: hiring and retention, policy and procedure, professional development, and curriculum. As a team, we have reached a point in the work where we are looking to hire an outside consultant, Paul Gorski of the Equity Literacy Institute. We ask that you make room for this in the budget so that we can assure our work is strategic, impactful, and sustainable for the betterment of our district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I see someone else has signed on. Do we have? Marguerite, were you planning to speak? You're muted, Marguerite.
Oh, yes. Yes, I was planning on.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Oh, already? Oh, I'm on the hot spot in my red hat.
I like
Hi.
that.
Thank you. I'm Margaret Foster Franklin. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Sumner Avenue School. Also, I'm calling to talk about funding for the home visit project that you may or not be aware of. And I'm a strong advocate for this particular project. I wasn't involved when they first started it, when it was at Duggan, but I have been involved with the Pioneer Valley Project, which is a community organization that made it possible for it to even come to Springfield. And I just want to say that I would like for funding to continue. And I'm also a trainer for the teachers, for the staff, I shouldn't say teachers, for the staff in Springfield Public Schools for the home visit project and anyone who wants to be involved. So I'm immersed into the home visit project, also having to go to some of the meetings that they have internationally, going to that and getting more information and learning more about how other school systems are doing it. So I just want to give you some reasons why I would like to fund it. I just want to also say, for one, they were wondering why many of the meetings that I had to do the training, the staff was wondering why we haven't been able to do it for the last 2 years. They felt like it was a miss. And it was a great opportunity for them to also reach out to parents and families during the pandemic. And I don't know what happened with that, but I was also we were still doing some trainings, but they kept on asking, when are we gonna go out? What do you want to go see family? I want to see the families. I want to see the families. And we kept on saying, we don't know. We're gonna still do the trainings though and get you prepared for it. So I want to say that, and I just want to put that out there to let you know that they're still willing to do it, even if it was virtually, and we could just figure out how that was. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, I'm not sure who is familiar with the Home Visit Project or not, but it started in Sacramento, California, and it was brought to Springfield from, like I said, through Pioneer Valley Project, and it was agreed with Springfield Education Association, and they brought it to the school committee, and they agreed to do that. One of the main things I want to say, definitely in Sumner Avenue School, when I first started doing it, we only did 2 families, and now we were up to 10 to 15 families per team members, depending on how many team members that we have doing it. And I found that it to be so enlightening and so overwhelming and wonderful for not just for me as an educator going to visit children at their homes, but also it gave me a closer view with the other families that I met. And it was, for you don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how much information you know about Home Visit Project. It starts with 2 visits with each family that you choose, and each school had a different budget. And at one point it was $3,000. I think it's still $3,000. And whatever team members that you have, and at one time at Sumner Avenue School, we had 10 teams. So that was a lot of staff members who were involved. And just think how many families that we were able to reach with 10 teams going out to visit from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, and how that changed the climax of the school because of that. That's another reason why we continue funding. But when we started it at Sumner Avenue School, we only did 2 visits. We went from 2 visits to now 15 visits. Now, if you do it from year to year, just imagine how many families that you have reached each year that you're doing it. I also want to say that one year I was able to visit every child's family in my classroom. And how amazing was that? It was very personable. I knew about the children. I knew about their families. I knew about their cultures. I knew what their families wanted. I knew what their parents wanted for their children. It was continuing encouraging them, and they were encouraging me also on how much I have helped them and how much they have helped me to know about their child. I also want to say that we just did finish the trainings up this year. We did five trainings, and each time we had, I believe we did maybe 30 people. I'm not quite sure the numbers. 30 people trained on that. And I just want to point out a few things. Right now, I believe that Sacramento is now wanting to charge us a fee so we can be licensed. And I think that will also help us as well, knowing that this is something that we want to continue to encourage. And what does it do? It makes it possible for us to, we've created a project that allows staff to create authentic partnerships with historically magnetized families. And it also takes away that stigma of, well, you don't live in a Springfield. You just come to work here, and then you just leave and get in your cars and go at 3:30 or 2:15, whichever time you get. You don't really care about us. But this changes that attitude of many families, especially when they know that the staff member who's going on that home visit is not from Springfield, doesn't live in Springfield, but they work in Springfield, but they also care about the children and the families that live in Springfield that they are teaching under or for or with. And I thought that was amazing. And that was something that was said to me at one of my home visits that I did. Also, again, I'll give you a little information for those who don't know about the Home Visit Project. It's not always done in the home. We would like for it to be done in the home, but we want to meet it where it's convenient, and not only just convenient, I would say, make them feel comfortable. Where do you feel comfortable at? I've met families at Dad's at Burger King which was a nice little Burger King that I had a little fireplace on the side. You know, we sat and we chit chatted, and I was like, well, I feel like I'm really at home. This is a home visit in the Burger King. And it was great. In that particular family, I visited the father and I also visited the mom. So because the families were split, the father would take the child on certain days and the mother had custodial custody where the child lived with the mother. So I also had a complete family visit with those families. We also met at the library. We also met at Taco Bell. Taco Bell was another place we met at. We met at Friendly's when we did have a Friendly's next door. Used to be that Friendly's. And I think one particular person at one of the schools said that they met at the soccer game because that was the only time, because the family the child played soccer and they had, if anyone has any child in after school sports, that they're accommodating when they get home will probably be about 8 o'clock. So they accommodated them by having a home visit right at the soccer field, making it so that the parent could have a conversation with the staff members. And again, for those, I have to give you some more information, that we always went by 2 people. It was always with 2 people, me and your paraprofessional who was with you, or you and another classroom teacher who was another grade level, the art teacher, the music teacher, and that's how it went. So I can say it would definitely, money should never be the option when it comes to trying to make the nucleus of the school complete. And I feel that extremely important. Finally, I'm going to say I would like to see that we work closely with families and develop healthy relationships between parents and teachers. And I'm going to say staff members, I don't like to use, or educators, that are honest and consistent. This is why we want to partner with families through the Home Visit Project. The project will provide opportunities for teachers or educators and families to work together in meeting the educational needs and emotional needs of your child. And this is what we would say to the parents. This is how we want to get them to come in. And working together is the key to success. Isn't that the key? That's why we're here. We want success for the children that we have in front of us, or the children we don't have in front of us, but the children who are in our building. Do you have any questions? I could go on. And again, I just want to say I'm a strong advocate for this. I would like for you to strongly, with the exclamation point, to fund the Home Visit Project. And I would like to see it get started no later than August, so we can actually start meeting the families without knowing, just getting to know the families. The first thing that we do, though, is to have a relationship. The first visit has nothing to do with education, nothing to talk about the behavior of your kid. Your kid was like this and they're not doing well, that they didn't do their homework. It's not about that, the first visit. The first visit is just to build a relationship with the families, either the father, the mother, the father and the mother, the grandparents, whoever the caretaker may be. And we meet with them wherever it's convenient for both of us. We meet for an hour. Sometimes it's been longer than an hour. I've learned about Korean tea, learned about the different cultures. I've learned about Italian cultures, Puerto Rican culture, fish fry and having fish and rice and beans. And that's how I built a relationship with my family. So when we talk about different cultures, I already say, oh, I know about your family and they like to eat this. And like, you do? I said, yes. And you used to see their faces just light up when they know so much. And they'll say, especially when you're going to, she came to my house, and the kids will say, you went to your, I did. I went to their house. Can you come to my house? Gotta ask your mom and dad. I'm gonna talk to them today so we can go to my house. Absolutely. And don't be late. They'll be waiting for you at the door. You're late, Miss Foster. I thought she was gonna be here. Well, I had to go visit Roger's house first before I went to your house. You went to his house first? Yeah. Can you come to my house next? Yes, of course, absolutely. So, do you have any questions for me? I can't.
We really don't.
You don't ask questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
But
okay.
I am going to break the rule only because there's 12 squares here, and I'm sure every one of those people in one of those squares is wondering what Burger King has a fireplace. I've never seen one.
It's the one on State Boston Road over there. I think it's still there. I don't know if they
Really?
changed it to Wendy's. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was, and it had a nice couch, nice chairs for
Wow.
us to sit in. And yeah, it was very cozy. I felt I was at home.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Can I stay on or do I have to leave out?
Oh, no, you can stay on.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask Brendan, do we have anybody else waiting?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, because there were 4 people who said they might come in, but the 2 of you have given us input, and that's great. I'm assuming since we are 20 minutes in that the other 2 aren't going to join. So, although I think Nancy knew, you were speaking for Nancy, I believe, Joy, anyway, or one way, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe she had a training or something to go to, so.
Okay, all right. All right, so I guess we've, and who was the 4th one, Terry? You're
Tracy.
muted, Terry. You're still muted.
Tracy Sasnecki,
Oh, okay,
and I think someone was
Yeah.
representing her as well.
Yes,
So I think
correct.
we're all set. Yeah.
okay.
think we
Oh,
are.
all right. Okay, well, thank you both for participating. Sometimes we have meetings where we get nobody, so it's nice to have at least somebody to come talk to us. So,
I'm more than willing to
Thank
talk
you.
about money.
so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If somebody would make it, since that's the only item on our agenda, someone make a motion to adjourn, that would be appropriate.
No,
I have a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Pat. Oh, you're gonna do a presentation on the budget itself, all right.
Yep.
Maybe we should have started with that, but go ahead.
So just want to give the school committee an update on our budget development process and where we are at the moment. So the first thing is everything we do, we follow the district strategic plan. So portrait of a graduate's in our minds, every decision we make as we make decisions on the budget. So right now we're building a level service budget. We're going to try to build a budget that provides the same services as what we did last year. So overall revenue is expected to increase 8.2%, where there's going to be an increase of 8.7% in the foundation budget and net school spending. This year's governor's budget, he's proposing 2/6 to implement 2/6 of the Student Opportunity Act. So in the law, they were supposed to implement it over a 7-year period, but the state skipped the first year. So year 1 was 1/6, which was last year, and year 2, now they're up to 2/6 of the Student Opportunity Act. And charter reimbursements increasing $7 million. However, they're still not funding it according to the law. $7 million is only 75%. And the reason it's up and there's an increase is because Veritas is adding a high school. So they'll be adding grades 9 and 10 next year. And Springfield Prep is also doubling in size. As far as expenses go, right now we're expecting expenses to increase by 8.1%. Salaries, we're looking at a $17.3 million increase. Within the salaries, we have projections for the cost of living increases on all the collective bargaining agreements. And we're taking all the Student Opportunity Act funding that we get from the state. So that large increase in revenue, we're taking it all and we're giving it out to the schools. So that 11.4 million, the $675 per student, we're distributing out to the schools so the schools can make their own spending plans on what makes sense according to, their work at their school. Supplies and services, we're expecting to increase about 2.2% or 641,000. The empowerment zone line item, we're funding it according to the MOU. And if everybody remembers the empowerment zone in the model, they get to purchase central office services. And, we're working back and forth with them to figure out what they're going to purchase and what they're not going to purchase. Right now, we're projecting health insurance to increase by 5%, but over the next month, we should get the new GIC rates, and then the city does open enrollment. And once we do that, we have a really accurate number on what we're gonna do for health insurance. City retirement will increase by 2.1 million. We already have that funding schedule, so we know the exact dollar amount. Out of district tuition, we're expecting to decrease by 1.1 million. So that's kind of a big deal. That the special ed department's done a lot of work with our out of district program. And so we're actually expecting a 10%, almost 11% decrease in that area. And then charter school and school choice continues to increase. It'll be about 7.9 million this year, or 9.7%. So this is what the projection looks like. That's what I just verbally read to you, but if everybody wants to take a minute to look it over, I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Pat, I have a question if you don't mind.
Yes.
We had some questions earlier about the home visit program. Is that part of our budget?
We fund that on Title I, and we are planning to fund that again on Title I for next year. So we're going to continue the program, exactly what they were asking for within the budget. We're planning to do it again.
Okay. And then are we, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but mental health issues related to COVID, are we doing anything around that, funding that, or increasing funding for that?
Yeah, so there's a few things we're doing. The first one is the Student Opportunity Act money, the $675 per pupil that we're giving out to the schools. That is a highly recommended item within that funding. It's recommended by the state. It's an allowable expense, and we're encouraging the schools to do that. Separately, we're giving the schools, we're out of the ESSER funds. We wrote into the application, and we'll be sharing with the school committee pretty soon, but we're planning to give 40 million out to the schools, and a portion of that is going to be required to be spent on mental health and learning loss. And that's what'll really get us through this COVID pandemic. So they'll have the money to spend over the next 3 years, and they'll make a school by school decision on how they're going to spend it. So it's a great question.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, so they are required to spend at least a portion of the money on mental health services. Yep.
Mental health and or learning loss.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
Stuff that was impacted by the pandemic. No problem. Any other questions before I move to the next slide? Okay. All right, so this is just real quick, the state budget process. You can see it starts in January when we get the governor's budget numbers. The next one, House Ways and Means, comes out like mid-April. Our revenue is completely dependent on the state. So when the state budget goes up and down, our budget goes up and down. We believe we have built in the appropriate measures that if it goes up or down, we think we have an estimate on where we're going to be. So we feel good about where we're at. And the final budget doesn't get finalized by the state until July, but we're going to have our budget done in May and approved by the school committee in May. So where are we right now? School allocations have all been finalized, both staffing allocations and budget allocations, and we've handed them out to schools, and schools are in the process of building their school-based spending plans and hiring staff for next year. Right now, we're going through central office budgets, so we've done about half of the budgets, and we have a few more to go. We should be wrapped up by the end of next week, and we're having hearings with the superintendent where we address the different questions and concerns. The empowerment zone decisions, as I mentioned before, are being reviewed, and the major accounts we're still analyzing. Those we don't really finalize until we get a little closer in the budget process. We just keep using the data as it comes around. You can see health insurance, the GIC rates, as I mentioned before. Utilities, we keep following, whether electricity is going to go up or natural gas. And all funds approach, we're always just looking to see if there's different grants or funding sources we can use as well. As far as the timeline for the budget goes, the superintendent's recommended budget will be bringing to the school committee on April 13th. The public viewing of the budget, where we post the budget document on the website and in the libraries, will be between April 25th and April 27th. Then on April 27th, we'll have the public hearing on the budget. And then the school committee will vote to approve the budget on May 5th.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So why is it that we are only giving the public the 25th through the 27th to view it?
It's the process we've followed for the past 12 years.
So we've only allowed them 2 days. I thought they had at least a week.
It's 3 days. It's the all 25th, all 26th, and then April 27th, we have the hearing at 5 p.m. So the budget's available past that, but those are the 3 days that they have available before the budget hearing. So we're still building the budget all the way up. Like so we go to the superintendent's recommended budget. So we present it to the school committee, and then we work on some final items. So if the school committee has, additional recommendations or changes or things that we need to do. So between April 13th and April 25th, we're still making changes to the budget as well as the document. And then April 25th to 27th, we post it.
Okay, so after the public hearing, how long is it still available for them to view? Or is it now taken down off the website and taken out of the libraries by the 27th?
The libraries usually sends it back to us. I think we leave it up on the website. If anybody ever has any questions, we always answer questions during that period of time. We've never really, we've never had any concerns shared with us about the budget not being available for anybody to see. If we go get questions, we just answer them.
Well, I did get a couple people questioning why it was only available for 3 days, so that's why I'm asking. I thought it was available for a week prior to in previous years, but it's possible it was always available for 3 days, but I just didn't catch it. But I had several people that reached out to me saying, how is it that we're supposed to be able to find the time to see the budget for the 25th and 26th and then know whether or not we want to sign up for the public hearing, because they won't even know if there's something they want to address until they see it. And then they need to sign up for the public hearing. Is it the same rules as the public speak outs where they have to sign up at least 2 days in advance or 3 days, whatever that amount of time is?
Well, that public hearing will probably be live.
Yeah.
So they don't have to sign up in advance to be a part of it? Okay, good.
No.
All right. Well, that's helpful to know, because I will let people know that. But they were thinking that they had to sign up in advance like they do for a public speak out and within that time frame. And it was just so close that they wouldn't know if they really wanted to come and speak unless they knew that was something that was glaringly missing. Like Marguerite's plea for and Joy's plea for the home visit program. If they looked at the budget and saw that it wasn't in there, then they might want to come back to the public hearing. Whereas maybe they look and see, wow, they did give us more money, so I don't want to go back.
And they wouldn't see that in the budget because it's Title I, but Pat did state tonight that he is putting it as a Title I expense, just like it was before. So yeah, they would look at the budget and not see it, quite honestly.
Okay. But then they could inquire.
But it's going to be fully funded under Title I, so they could ask the question.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm certainly hope we're back live by the 27th. And, the way we've done it in the past is anybody in the room just signs up while they're in the room that they want to speak.
Okay. All right. So I'll let folks know that.
Any other questions on the timeline or the budget? The last item is just, the committee usually asks me what are our priorities when they get asked, or if, you have an opportunity that you're talking to some of our local delegation, what we want the state to fund. Our priorities would be having the state fully fund the charter tuition reimbursement. Right now, the governor's proposal only funds it at 75%. If the state ends up fully funding it, it would be an additional $2.5 million for Springfield. And then same with fully funding circuit breaker. In the governor's budget, he says he's fully funding circuit breaker, but the Mass Association of Superintendents did an analysis and they believe it's a higher number based on their analysis. So they think the state should fully fund it at $460 million. And if they do, and we got the full funding, it would be an additional 1.5 million for Springfield. So when I email this out to people, it'll be the last page. And if you want to take it and you want to share that information, you'll have it.
May I comment, Chair?
Sure.
So one of the things that we did talk about at the MASC meeting this past weekend was about some of these priorities, and the fully funding charter school tuition reimbursement is on the top of the list. So it is something that we are advocating for across the state with the Mass Association for School Committees as well. I think the MASS is also advocating the same thing. So we are all on the same page wanting to get this rectified.
Excellent.
Oh, that gives us a chance if any of us are in meetings or something with some of the people, some of the reps who are running, it gives us a chance to say, hey, where are you on charter reimbursement?
It has the biggest impact on the urban districts because we're the districts with the most kids in charter schools. So you don't always have the same advocacy from the suburbs. So it doesn't affect all the local, our local delegation is much more impacted than the delegation, around the whole state. So we just want to make sure that, the people know how big of an impact it'll be for Springfield. So, I think MASS, MASC, anybody we can get involved, let's do it.
And we had MASS meeting on Friday, the Urbans, and this was the big push. We had the Mass Taxpayers Foundation in there. So we are all working on it, like Latonia said.
And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. So I guess we have gone through the agenda. And it looks like it's just us who are remained on the, so unless you know what, I can't always tell. Sometimes there's more on the side, but it does appear that way. So then a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank you, Peter. Terry, would you call the roll?
Yeah, Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
yes.
and Miss Naylor.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes,
Good night.
good seeing you guys. Take care.